Yes, and we are live. We are live. We're gonna let this build up. Hopefully a couple more people come in the room. Also waiting for a special guest. Jump in the chat. Jump in the chat. And we are live. Appreciate everybody. Pause the background music for a second. All right, so let's get into it. I'm Zachary Brown. This is Why You Bullshitting. Yes, sir, Why You Bullshitting, brought to you by the Already Canceled Social Club. And we're going to jump right into it. This show is going to be a little different from our normal show. This show is basically to not cause confusion, but to cause constructive conversation so we can build better bridges to making shit better, making it right. So along the way, it's going to probably be some triggering shit going on, maybe be some arguing, some shit to go left, go right. But me as a moderator, I'm here to keep everything focused on the agenda, which is bringing us closer together at the end of the day. All right, so tonight I got a special guest today for y'all. Sorry about that tonight shit. I got a special guest for y'all today, Miss LeGree Shine. I'm gonna go ahead and bring her up. A lot of y'all might be familiar with her as well. Let me get my setup right. Like I said, this is my first live show, so we're gonna get this right. LeGree, welcome back. Yes, yes.
I'm so sorry about these technical difficulties.
No, it's okay. So, can you hear the music? Is the music not too loud for you? You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Let me just turn it down a little bit anyway. So, I feel like I want to let you have a moment to introduce yourself and tell the people why Black families matter to you, relationships matter to you, and just about yourself.
So, hi, my name is LeGree Shine. I am a singer-songwriter from local astronauts. Shout out to local astronauts, what up, Roger. Well, number one, let's start with the fact that I am Black. So that definitely does help to contribute to this conversation about the Black family. But I think it's extremely important. The representation is no longer out there, and to see that these videos existed all the way back in '86 are reigning true today is kind of exhausting. But I think fundamentally, I think we should get down to the core of it, which is the actual relationship, the relationship between the Black man and the Black woman to start off with. That's essentially what breeds the actual Black family. So we need to start talking about the caliber of men and women that we are, that are walking the face of this earth, so that we can see how we're contributing to society.
I agree. That's powerful. And that's the point of the show. And I want to also let y'all know, I'm going to try to get LeGree on the show at least 2 or 3 times a month, if not more, so we can bring, it's called Say Your Piece, but I want more women to speak their piece so we can actually hear them out and see where we need to adjust, and then also give them advice and bounce our ideas off of each other. So I think that's always going to be helpful for the community. You down to check out these clips?
Absolutely.
Okay, let me see what I got here. Let me turn this music off so we can check these clips out.
Where do they get the money?
Majority of the mothers on welfare, and welfare gives them the stipend for the month. So what I'm not doing, the government does.
What would happen if the government didn't?
It'd be a big disaster, I guess, because you can't give something that you don't have. In order to give, you got to have for yourself.
You see, people out there watching going to say, why didn't he think about that before he brought 6 kids into the world?
Right.
Well, mother had a choice. She could have had abortion, or she could have kept the child. She decided the way that she wanted to have the child, so Therefore, I guess it's not sweating her. I mean, it's not bothering.
You think it's her fault if she gets pregnant?
Well,
I mean, you fought her.
Well, maybe, maybe not. Like they say, mama, baby, papa, maybe. You know what I mean?
Now look at this nigga face though.
Listen, because
Cheated looking ass nigga.
can we talk about the S curl? Can we talk about how this nigga is legit? What is wrong with the Black community? Like they were starting way back when and before, because this is ridiculous. He's very pleased with himself in this moment.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to start off with to start off with his ass, because I want to tell everybody, all people are not meant to have kids.
Absolutely.
That's an example of a brother that ain't meant to have kids, in my opinion. Like he could care less. He could care less.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, and that's why when I tell sisters, patrol your partners that you get with, I get a lot of kickback, but I'm gonna keep telling them, because these type of men shouldn't be allowed anywhere in your circumference. You know what I mean? So I wanted to start with that.
But that's what I meant earlier when I was saying about the caliber of the individual, because he is exactly what I was talking about. Like, look at who is the representative in this moment, in this video. Like the caliber of man that's gonna say like mama's baby, daddy's maybe. Like that's a cute little. It's cute, but the fact that this man has 6 kids, like you did this time, you knew you didn't have the means. Like he really does not care. But then also as a woman, like why are you letting this man up inside of your guts? Like why are you
6 different ones too. So it's kind of like, okay, it's one bad dude that obviously we know shouldn't have a opportunity with women, but then it's 6 different women that keep seeing this man as a good opportunity for them. Like I don't. But we'll get into that, because we're gonna break down the cause, the problem, and we're gonna try to come up with some solutions as well. All right, we got another clip.
None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. 1. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. You know, it's a lot of responsibility, and then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down, because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so you know it really. Male figures are not substantially important in the family.
And it's a shame, but this is what I mean by it just trickles downhill. It's like a continuing cycle like that we got to break. And so that's why I appreciate the space on YouTube where women view their grievances and men do as well, because it needs to be done, because there's a lot of lessons I learned and a lot of things about the mind state of our sisters just by watching different YouTube videos. Even if I get triggered by some of them, I just watch them, digest that shit, just take what I can take out of it to be better. So,
think about what he specifically said. He didn't ask them if they wanted to be married. He specifically said, do you want to be married to the father of your children? So these women already know that the men that they procreated with, like low-key ain't shit. So that is partially like on them. However,
what did they do? They got shit and giggles out of it. They just started laughing. They like it's all games.
Because it's games at that point, because I think it's almost comedic to think to them possibly like, that nigga, like you think I'm gonna marry this nigga? Like it's bad enough I got a baby with him. Now I'm gonna marry him? Because she said it perfectly when she said that she didn't want somebody holding her down. And if that's the way that you're viewing it, then that just means that she knows that that man in particular is not going to be the one that's going to be able to support her, to uplift her, like to pour into her the way that she needs to be a good mother for her children and to have that family unit. So they know that about those specific individuals. It would be interesting to know if he asked them if they wanted to be married in general. But they wanted to
do you think that they would make these decisions continuously if there was no welfare or no stipend or no like government daddy to play that role? You think they would continue to go for baby number 2, baby number 3 out of wedlock, baby number 4?
I think it's cyclical, and unfortunately, we've learned that that is what's going to continue to happen, regardless of their abilities. Because let's be real, welfare is not popping like that. It's not like you're getting so much money for these kids. Like you're getting something for them, right? But like government cheese, powdered milk, like I mean, granted, I don't know anything about that life in this
Yeah, I was
particular
gonna
day.
tell you they get good money, LeGree. Like, okay, so
Oh,
say
I
if
mean,
yeah, well, it ain't good, but
well,
okay, so
well,
say
when
if
we're
you
talking about this time
okay.
period,
Yeah, even then the money for that time period was what it was. But still it's an assistance, Section 8, where you can get rent, a place to stay. You have your own place to stay now. The more kids you have, the more money your check gets more now. Like, but even at that, it's all systemic, and we're gonna break that down too. Pretty much through this next video. But I just wanted to say that I think this particular clip shows more of the same mindset that we got from the guy.
though.
It's just the same thing. It's just in a different, in the female form versus the male form. The male form, he had less accountability because, well, he had more accountability. Like, it ain't on me, but it wasn't accountability. But he just didn't give a care, which I don't
Right.
want to call that accountability. He just knew what it was. But I think these women still, that's why I think they'll go out again and do it again with another guy without vetting that guy properly. So yeah, to your question, I do think they want to be married, but just not to their baby daddy. But they'll pick another guy, and at the beginning they'll be like, "This is my guy. I think he's marriage material," knowing the red flags probably exist and everything. But again, it's more systemic as well. All of that, but I just want us as people to be more accountable. Because that helps the growth, I think.
Well, they started it by saying that they don't have a father in their household. So if they're seeing, even though they can see the struggle that possibly that their mother went through, or their grandmother, or their aunties, whatever, it doesn't matter. You've seen the Black woman struggle. It's
Right.
what they're used to. It's all that they literally know. So then to
The
say, to turn
struggle.
around and have the expectations of a man that they've never seen occupy that role before, it's
Right.
unfortunate, but it's unrealistic.
Right. They don't understand the actual value and
They never
respect
seen
it could add to your life. So they don't respect or appreciate it. All right, we got a couple more clips, I think. Let's go.
3 months, which you do in the summer when construction work, you can make a decent living.
The man in the house rule was written to prevent welfare cheating, to make sure that aid to families with the
Of the
My bad. It was started at the wrong place.
85% of the head of household is a woman, because most of the men who should be in the household, they cannot make a decent living. And of course, it is better to know that a child will be fed 12 months out of the year than 3 months, which you do in the summer when construction work, you can make a decent living.
The man in the house rule was written to prevent welfare cheating, to make sure that aid to families with dependent children would go only to families headed by mothers. But the effect of the man in the house rule is to create for children an atmosphere of investigation and surveillance. And thus, the welfare system in its operation turns out to be a system to make life harder for children.
The
welfare system helps the disintegration.
Go ahead.
No, because it tells you right there. If there is a man in the house, are you telling me if there's a man in the house, you will not receive those funds?
Yeah, that's the point I was trying to get to earlier, but that's why I was like, it's systemic. It's like it started that way, and so to where it just grew like the snowball effect. So it just grew and grew and grew. So imagine that was 86. So can you imagine now what that is? It looks like what we have today. That's what we have today. It's like it's unleashed. It's, putting it back in the can.
Between coming for Black men on a daily basis, having them be incarcerated, there's so many more Black men that are incarcerated that we know for the pettiest of crimes, taking them out of the community, taking them out of their family homes, and then literally incentivizing people to keep them away, incentivizing women to not have men in that structure and allow them to continue to create that narrative that Black men ain't shit, when we all know that is not. Those are not facts, like at
And
all.
that's a good point you made right there, because, and we're going to speak on that. That's a good point. Remind me to bring that back up. The narrative is basically being spent, but okay. And then also to that point is the 86 drug on war. Ironically, that was the same year that this documentary was filmed. In 1986, there was the drug on war, to where you would get 1 gram of crack cocaine which is usually sold and distributed in minority neighborhoods, 1 gram of crack cocaine would be 10 years, to where 100 grams of powder cocaine, which is generally distributed in suburbs, was 1 year. So it was a 10-to-1 penalty ratio. So therefore, all the, a lot of the black men were, again, choices they made, but a lot of them were put away and sent out to home as well. But let's finish this off.
Of the American family. It offers money to families if the fathers will leave them and stay away, in that sense undoing the very stability of the family and taking away one of the two parents that children, of course, need. And what I have seen, I'm afraid to say, all over the country is that the legal system works against the best kind of home for these children.
I'm gonna go right into this next clip, and we'll continue breaking that down.
He said, "If the man will leave."
Yeah, basically.
Not that he's gone. Because see, that words matter. Words mean things. If the man will leave versus him not being there, there's two different things.
Right. That's why I wanted to show the first type of guy, the guy that didn't really give a care and was willing to leave and abandon his whole situation. And even though he did ask for an abortion and he has no parental rights as far as that, we already understand that men don't have any rights when it comes to that. So I'm sure he understood that too. So that's why I don't want to give him that out. But like he said, if they choose to get an abortion or go on welfare or whatever. So basically he's saying they didn't want to do what I said do. So like, but this guy, again, he's a scoundrel. I'm not even going to get mad.
He says that he doesn't wear condoms because he says that women don't want that. They make you think that they're dirty. But
yeah, they that. Well, it's still kind of true, but you got to be more responsible with that as a guy. You don't care what she said. I'm wearing it.
Exactly.
Like, nah. But this is what he needed right here.
Do you think it's important for them to have men around?
Yeah, I think, if you have...
Although he handled security for us while we were in Newark, his beat is the kids of the neighborhood, who look up to him as if he were their father. What he can do with them here, he knows, is just warm-up for what they face out of the ring and out of his reach.
Going for the title. Work, time!
What have you learned about these kids?
That they need somebody to love them. They identify with us because we don't take any crap. You come in here, you got to be disciplined, you got to, follow the rules and regulations, because when they go out here and deal with life, they're going to have to follow rules and regulations in life.
Self-control and self-esteem, far more important than a good left hook. That's his message to kids like Bernard Wardwick. He's been coaching Bernard for the past 4 years.
It's like a big brother-father image with me and Bernard. There's been times when he's gotten me mad and I've spanked him, and his mother knows I'll spank him, and he knows I'll spank him. And sometimes that's what a kid needs to know. Freedom is a lot of times destruction. The more freedom a man has, a lot of times he'll just self-destruct. So I try to, keep him in a little cage. Keep him in my arms.
Somebody has to say no.
Yeah, somebody has to say, no, you cannot do this.
A lot of these kids grew up with nobody saying no.
Right.
Do you think it's important for them to have men around?
Yeah, I think, if you have a one-parent family and it's a mother, she cannot teach you all of the things that a man can teach a son. There's no way.
So where do they learn the routine techniques of just daily work and living? They don't.
Unless they get it from their parents, they'll get it from the streets.
That's why I said that's what that guy needed.
Seriously, first of all, he needed to get punched in the face a couple times. So
that would have happened. Oh boy, would have got him. He got that.
But no, he's very much on point. Like it's interesting the way that he's saying about him, like talking about containing them, but he's saying containing them essentially with love, whereas the world is trying to contain them and literally like imprison them behind bars. It just.
And even though he said love, it's hard love, it's discipline, it's real love, it's a father's love. You know what I mean? And that's why he was even saying, I've even had to whip some of these kids.
Absolutely.
So
I think people don't real love isn't letting somebody do what they want to do. Real love is accountability. Like, I love you enough to not watch you go down this rabbit hole of like destruction. Like, I love you enough to tell you that you need to be better. I love you enough to let you know that you need to do more. So real love is not allowing someone to just be and do and go. It's about accountability. It's about calling it out. It's about nurturing. And I think that that's what I feel like. I don't know, like we're not giving Black men a chance to do that. We're not giving people a chance to do that, but most
In
specifically,
general, right?
and
Yeah, people in general don't have a chance to really,
because we
Okay,
have the word love. Because if you say, "Oh, you're not leading with love," I think it's love is it sounds real. It sounds really floral. That people want to just lean into the floralness of love and like all the gushy feelings and like the sweetness. But love is what it does, and love is a protector. Like how does your love show up? Like my love protects, it nurtures, it's considerate, it's patient. Like what does your love do? What does the Black man's love do? What does the Black woman's love do? Like we ask ourselves these things, like how are we showing up in love?
and remind me to ask you about your amazing single because it actually ties in. It really does, and I think no, for sure. And I want to have a whole show on that when we do our first show and we bring the ladies up. I want to actually center it around that. But I did want to ask you about your single. Matter of fact, just go ahead and you can speak on it now.
So I have a new single out. My debut single is called "He's for the Streets." It's really it's kind of interesting because it's a song
It's deep. But yeah.
It's kind of funny because I think a lot of people, depending on who you are, like you can find yourself like in this song one way or another. But a lot of times we always focus on like what the man does and say like, this nigga is just legit for the streets, that he's out here wilding. But at the same time, like women, like we know, like we know what's going on. I have a line that says, you don't even notice that she is me and I was her before.
Right. I heard that. That's it cold.
Yeah, like because and then I remember we were in the studio and Polly was like, "Well, which one do you mean right now?" I was like, "It doesn't even matter. Because if you mean the one after you mean the one before you, it doesn't matter because y'all are all the same."
She was on her Kendrick shit writing this. Immaculate penmanship.
Listen, you go through enough shit. You really you have a lot. I have a lot to talk about. Let me just say it like that. But,
Yeah. I definitely wanted to let you know I respect your experience and your artistry as well. Yeah, you're amazing. I wanted to bring in Brother Khary. He also has an amazing podcast. Let me get this thing set up right here. And add Brother Khary to the stage. Peace, brother. Let me. Yes, sir. So you can shout out your podcast so that way they can follow your channel as well.
All right. My audio good? You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, for sure. Yeah, no, my podcast is Heron's Home Podcast. It's me and my co-host Rico G. I'm Khary Robertson. And yeah, we talk about everything, entertainment, politics, just life in general, from two guys' perspective, like everybody else does.
Not like everybody else because it's your perspective, which makes it better.
And that's what keeps it unique, hopefully,
Absolutely.
Sensational.
But yeah. No, I was gonna say I actually caught a couple episodes. I actually enjoy the perspective and the diverse topics that actually you guys talk about. So I appreciate
we try to mix it up because life comes at you with all kinds of stuff, and it's not just music and movies and politics. It's everything, and it's good to have those things put closely together so you can see how they affect each other.
Absolutely.
So question, were you able to actually view the clips? Were you watching the show?
I was watching along with you guys, yes.
All right. So we're gonna let me see what I think we should, because I just wanted to break it down. So I think we should break it down and first break down the problem and go from there. Mm-hmm. So Khary, as far as the problem, you want to break it down as far as what you see and as far as the clips in general?
Yeah, well, and you guys made a good point of it in that what we were watching was the male and female version of the same issue in the community. And firstly, what I like to do is I don't want to overgeneralize because obviously, these are not the exemplars of the community. These aren't, the best examples of what Black people bring to the table. And so I don't want to overgeneralize based on them, but that attitude absolutely does exist. We've all experienced it. We've seen it. And the fact that it does exist is problematic. And the problem I see that was really brought to the forefront by both of those clips was the lack of the positive male role model being ubiquitous in both of the examples. You know, everyone has their mother, but far fewer people have good male role models. You know what I mean? And also, you know, we have a generation of fathers who are great providers, very great providers, but they might not have passed on some of the more social aspects of being a man, such as taking responsibility for your place in those kind of relationships when it comes to women. And so, you know, we're seeing from the guy's perspective, he's parroting the behavior. You know, unfortunately, he's not learning better, you know, because he doesn't have other male role models. And in the young ladies' examples, they're just not seeing the value in it, because it's like expecting someone who's never had money to understand the value of money. It's going to be hard for them to pick it up, you know? And so, yeah, we're seeing both ends of that issue very, very prevalently here, for sure. Now, you know, I do appreciate this as a platform to try to figure out how we go about fixing that.
No, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. Same thing for you, LeGree, if you wanted to break down the problem as you see it.
No, I definitely agree with him. And I think the funny thing is that you used money as the example, because that's the same thought process that I had when I first watched this. Was it would be just like someone who like money. Anybody who's never come into like a large sum of money is not gonna know how to use it. And this is why people squander things, or maybe like even like a nice car. Like you don't know how to take care of it. And unfortunately, in our community, you know, more often than not, seemingly, right? Because to your point, it's not the full representation. This is not the full scope. Like this is what the area that they want to highlight, but it's the area that they legitimately created. Like to say again, to go back to that statement, like to say that if they will leave the home, we will incentivize this family unit and putting the Black woman at the forefront. Because let's be real, like throughout history, life, and time, all the way back to like slave days, the Black woman was always made to hold everything down. Even for the white families that were not even of her own. Like she's breastfeeding, she's nurturing, she's caring for. So I feel like society, for whatever reason, deems Black women to be way stronger than sometimes we really are. And so there's a lot of weight that's being put onto them. And then subsequently, the Black men, they're dogging them out. They're treating them like animals and removing them from these situations where they can really show you what they can be. It's kind of devastating.
Yeah. Absolutely. And what we're seeing as well is very much in a situation where Black men are told that their contribution to the home comes in a very particular and financial way in an environment that is increasingly disenfranchising them, such as, you know, we don't have access to union membership. The industries that are taking off are industries that we don't have equal access to. You know what I mean? To get to high-end like software and stuff is really difficult if you don't have access to that kind of hardware. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's cool. I was gonna say I want to break the problem down right quick. I'll be fast so we can go to the next step. So from what I want to say without making it sound a way, it's gonna sound that way anyway. So I'm gonna just go ahead and say I think it's generated systemically and taught. And so you can go all the way back to the Willie Lynch letters, to how they resemble the breaking of a male slave or a female slave to buck breaking, and then they will then teach their offspring how not to be mistreated. So they'll instill more submissive ways in them. So we can go back to there, and then I'll bring it up all the way to now. I think our biggest problem today is the image of each other. And a lot of that, again, could be systemic, but then we act it out. So the minority of us scream the loudest, and I think that leaves a resounding effect on those that are actually dwelling in the right path and going the right direction and trying to do the right thing. So I think the image is a big problem. I think that's a problem. And then so if you wanted to go ahead, I'm sorry to had to stop you earlier. If you wanted, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Because you just said it, the image, because it's glamorized right now. I mean, I think we've had this conversation multiple times about Black men and women, and most specifically, we're the only race of people that will dog out our women the way that we do, like bitches and whores, demeaning them, like talking down on them, like that. But that imagery has become like the popular thing. Like
the only thing with that is, that's why I was saying it's a balance, because it's something that the very few amount of men will actually do. But on the reverse of that, I hear a majority of women, they do moniker the all men are trash, or do we need men in the world?
Absolutely.
But see, you're in the minority.
Yeah, and
but
that's
I don't think like me and Khary are in the minority to where we won't say all our women are bitches and all our women are baby mama material. Or none of them like I don't think that that's the majority sentiment of men. We just think that a lot of our women are being misled, and then we know there are a percentage of those that are that, like, they, what I mean? So we trying to like separate, but yeah, no, I totally understand what you're saying. You're definitely right with that though. If we all had better pickers, wouldn't it be a lot better place? But Khary, you want to go ahead and you can analyze the problem now if you want.
Yeah, and just to touch on the point that you guys were bringing up is that social media and entertainment provides a very disproportionate view of what's popular and what is maybe quote unquote right or wrong, because not everything that is profitable in entertainment is something that we might want to be promoting, but because of the delivery of the entertainment, it comes off as promotion. And so like things that might be very entertaining sometimes might be delivering a message that to the uninitiated or immature might be taken the wrong way, and they run with it. And, yeah, they might mature out of it, but they're going to spend years ruining relationships and creating terrible images in other people's minds of what they could represent. And it's not that it's their responsibility to carry that burden. It's just part of being social creatures. Like, I have to take responsibility that in my road to becoming a man, I effed up some relationships pretty badly. And it's in that acknowledgement that I could not make those mistakes again. But we don't have that kind of growth a lot of times. A lot of people just write it off as,
you know how it does that?
It is what it is. And it's like, yeah, but we could also try not to recreate those mistakes. And that will go a long way for people to acknowledge, that, oh yeah, it's not all niggas ain't shit. It's some niggas are still children. And and it would be helpful for women to learn to acknowledge that, because then they can avoid that shit. You know what I mean? Like that's the only way, it's the only thing that I could offer them, because otherwise they're gonna be swept up in the swag and all of that stuff. And it's that's what it's there for. That's what the flag is there for, is to get people who want it.
You made a good point, because you said the profitability. Like you actually spoke on the actual profit that has come of the degradation of the Black community. So what you're saying is that with the social media and the pushing and all of that, the narrative, even though to your point it may be somewhat of a minority, actuality, right? Like that may not be the masses, but that's what's being put out there. And then who's pushing that narrative, right? Because when you think about the things, how do you go viral? Like look at the whole, what was it, Bad Baddie or whatever her name is, the Cash Me Outside girl, like the ignorance and playing into Black ignorance and playing into Black stereotypes is what is furthering other communities. Like when they have voices that sound soulful like our voices, like that's when they're deemed to be somewhat even of a higher caliber than the originators. Like we're the originators of a lot of things. The worst parts of our community are being glorified, they're being glamorized, and they're being monetized. And when you then do that, you're putting that narrative out there. Now people want to live that lifestyle, and even if it's for social media for 2.5 seconds to make that profit, like you're causing damage. You're causing greater damage, and now it's the internet. It's gonna be forever.
And it's not just that single person who they might be going through that moment with. When it gets broadcast out on social media, now it's hundreds of thousands of people viscerally going through that in a parasocial way. You know what I mean? Like people watch things on the internet, and even Brown was talking about sometimes you watch these videos and you get triggered because it's upsetting. You know what I mean? And we're hyper
Well,
vigilant.
generally, though, it's generally upsetting because these videos tap into a place of experience within yourself. So that's why
Absolutely.
when you say it's a para
Yeah.
XYZ, there's still definitely relatable experiences, if not exact experiences, that could be mimicked from another person
the
that you view on
experiences
social
are
media.
real.
So I get it. I get what you're saying. So, but
the relationship to
these
the
are things
person
are
in the
bigger.
video is
No, I just don't
parasocial.
want to minimize it though,
We
because
did,
these things are actually happening in the world to real people.
They are.
Like when they say that this is happening to them and they get 1,000 likes and you get everybody in the comments, it's because those people experienced it too. Versus just saying it's a small percentage of people having those problems in their relationships. But what I was saying as far as that would be the small percentage of, okay, just like say with Black crime, our crime numbers are lower than they've ever been for Black men.
Absolutely.
Now we do need to do better with the unaliving crime stat. Like we're way disproportionate to be such a small percentage of popularity. We lead in that percentage as far as murders. And so that I think we can still improve on, but our crime numbers have been going down. So it's just like we were all speaking to, and I'm trying to analyze the problem. The media can do so much, but that's why we have these outlets now to spread more positive messages and start clicking on links and liking videos and sharing videos that actually show the better things versus, you know, all the negativity and things like that, to where I don't get as much as I used to in my feed, because I've kind of like, you know, filtered that out by what I choose to like and, you know, XYZ.
But see, that's the thing, is the algorithm. You're making an extremely valid and necessary point right now. It's the algorithm, and who is controlling the algorithm? The same people who are controlling the narrative about the Black community at this particular point. Social media is not just like we all see a video go viral. How many times have you heard them say that TikTok can make? There are people in the back end that can make that thing go viral. There are people on the back end of Instagram that make it go viral. Like, for as much as we think that we're participating, it's even like American Idol, right? We think that we're participating. You're saying you, the American people, are voting these people. No, we're not. The Voice of all things. There's one. I'm not even gonna say who the person was. Somebody won The Voice one year, and I was just like, this is how I know it's rigged. And I stopped watching The Voice because somebody was behind this, and it made no sense whatsoever to me, and I had to let it go. That is the internet. The internet is going to. It's in control, and somebody's still in control of this. So the question, who is it that's in control of it? Because they're the ones that are actually pushing, regardless of the content that is
So at
being
the bottom of the screen, LeGree?
finding a solution. Find the mofo behind
Well, I think that
No, LeGree, go ahead.
I think it's interesting.
LeGree, go ahead.
I think that we need more representation in these rooms that have the control to make the things be as great as they're supposed to be. There's just not enough of a balance, I feel, in from perspective, because even if we represent, let's be real, all Black folks ain't kinfolk, right? Like every one of us is not always going to be looking to help the community. We're looking to further ourselves sometimes at the detriment of our own people. So finding like-minded people, like having people who really want to further the message that Blackness is greatness, like that can help us to be in those rooms that can then push those narratives from this, you know, social media, the internet, whatever.
Getting into those rooms and spaces to where we can actually have more of an influence in media and the things that actually drive the narrative of our image and things like that. Okay, Khary, what do you think?
Well, no, I think that we've actually evolved to point to a very interesting place, because I think that, you know, it's just within our community, in the Black community, relationships have been, I would say, under attack, because from the 80s we've seen how the political structure, the welfare structure, the people who promote our entertainment have not had the best interest of Black relationships in mind.
Very true.
Whatever their goals are, we can have discussions about that. But what I can say is that the best interest of Black people in their relationships is not at the forefront. And so that's been this case all since the 80s at very least, because that's when my, you know, contact with it originates. And so in this new digital era, we are now seeing how much social media and just the ability to create and push narratives and even traditional media is exasperating the already fraught relationship between Black men and Black women, that we can kind of establish maybe we don't hate each other because there were so many institutions designed to put us at each other's necks. So at very least, what I would like to take from it is that I would hope that we can start engaging with the stuff we see on social media for what it is and realize that we have to just deal with people as individuals, because there's so many examples that we could pull on of people doing the wrong thing. And it's easy for us to project that onto other people. And I just don't know if that's going to get us where we need to be, because it's easily become very socially pessimistic in that environment and just think that all people are, that Black men ain't shit, Black women ain't shit, that then you come to the conclusion Black people ain't shit. And it's just like, that's not the lick. And
That's
so
totally
we gotta fight that depressive
Good way to-
spiral, you know what I mean? And, whether it's, I personally feel like as a man, it's my responsibility to be the change or to initiate change that I want to see. So that's the only reason why I would say, like, it's up to men to do better, but it's really on people to start dealing with each other on a different level and stop letting, not only our personal experiences affect us negatively, but then taking in other people's negative experiences and just piling it up to where now, our significant other is fighting against a world of shit that don't really got too much to do.
Summarize the solution that you just summarized everything you just said for me.
Okay, so ultimately, it's easy to become very pessimistic about the problem based on our social media diet. Let's just choose to deal with each other as individuals, because trying to bring all of the past experiences and things that we've learned, it's making the problem worse. It feels like people are just getting madder at each other. I see Black women on the internet talking about kill all Black men. And I don't ever see anything like that for men, but I see men who are just despondent about ever being with Black women in meaningful relationships. And I'm like, it don't gotta be that way.
Okay, I got you. And
I'm sorry. I think I said something that took LeGree aback. I apologize.
No. You were good. No, it just kind of was like where I was going anyway, because it's about the image thing. But like you said, I think the problem is our women don't respect men in general. Like, most women don't respect most men in general. And then on the flip side, I think most men respect most women, but we do have a disdain for the ones that we don't, I don't want to call them, fuck it. We don't like hoes as far as to date and to raise the kids.
Generally,
Let me cook a little bit. Let me cook. I'm gonna give my solutions, and then we're gonna open it up again. But so that was just that. I kind of got thrown off. It's so good. But it's been going around since I've been young, from songs to movies to everything, as far as what men aren't, can't do, and what women don't want from men. So that's why I think the statistics, the stats on men's behavior have been improving. Men get shown by the world their defaults, their fails, and they're forced to take accountability. If you're not a good man, you won't end up with a successful relationship, successful job. You won't have peers that respect you. There's all kinds of things that are holding men accountable. Where I see we lack as a community is we cannot even constructively have a conversation with most of our women about their behavior, or God forbid, you see one in public and say, yo, I think you could have got at your son a little different. Maybe, X, Y, Z. Now you're in an arguing match, a shouting match. So it's that. So I want to say feminism has a big to do in it, but the solution would be us as men and women trying to improve our images and think better of each other. So I think men are actually doing that, but by speaking to men online, it seems like women are saying, just shut up and do what you're supposed to do. You a leader, be a leader. But it's like, you can't lead what doesn't want to be followed. And so this isn't all women, but it's the majority sentiment through our music, through our songs, through the people they follow, through the people that they do worship, and the people that they speak about. And so that's why I didn't want you to minimize. I didn't want to let you minimize it by saying what people post online isn't a reflection of real life, because it actually is. But go ahead, LeGree. I see you had something to say. I'm gonna flip.
Because you make like some very
I
valid
didn't say
points.
it wasn't a reflection of real life. It wasn't a reflection of your relationship with the people in the video.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's all I want to put there. Because you're right. You know, there's people behind all of these nameless, you know, well, not always, but there's frequently people behind these names and tags. So not to minimize that. You're right.
No, I think you brought up a really good point, but I just also want to say that it's kind of like it's twofold in terms of the way that we communicate with each other, right? So like you said, like about men, you say something about like the men with the hose or whatever, but like let's also take into consideration that men seem to have this mindset that they have time. That they have time to do the things that they want to do and to screw over the people, and that at a certain point they'll eventually get there, that the respectable way in which they want to present to society, like they have time to do that. Whereas I think sometimes, I mean, really that comes down to like a maturity level thing, right? Like at the end of the day, like where you are in your level of maturity. But that conversation that you were speaking of,
it's not fair though, but we do have a little more time than women, and it's not fair. It's a double standard, but there's some that benefit men and some that benefit women. That's one that we do benefit from though. We have a little more time.
But
I think men, you can get out of jail. Not can, because I don't want to do the sum. Okay, that's one of the rules on the show. And I took this from DJ Hamp. Shout out DJ Hamp. This might be risky. We cannot say some. It's either got to be more or less. So I would say more on that one, but I'm gonna be quiet. Go back. Sorry for interrupting.
No, it's just that when it comes to time, I think it is very unrealistic to say that we have any amount of time in this world, with especially the way that the world is set up right now. Let's be real. You can go to the grocery store and you cannot come home today because somebody decided that in this Black neighborhood, you go to church and somebody can decide, like, I'm driving home. I live in Marina Del Rey now, right? I live in Marina Del Rey. But coming home one night at 2:00 in the morning, and there was an active shooter on the street that I'm driving down to come to, that I missed by approximately 25 minutes, right? Like that, you never know. So in this world of time, we don't have as much time as we think that we do. So the way we treat each other and the way that we're interacting with each other, like we really need to have that consideration, because tomorrow is definitely not promised. But it's really important to me that the way that we communicate with one another, I'm really big on respect. I show it, I give it to the masses. I would like it in return. I'm very much about the peace. Like, I'm not gonna yell at you. You're a Black man. You're a man. Fuck Black man. You're a man, right? I'm a woman. I want to be respected as such, but I also want to show you respect. So I don't demean, I don't diminish, I don't yell, I don't do the rah-rah with a real grown ass man. Some of these niggas can catch this fade because you're basic. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like I'm gonna
try to get that out of her chat. I'm gonna try to get that out of her, y'all. That's one of the pet peeves I got. But we're gonna work on that. It might take a couple of years, but we're gonna work on it.
Why do you want to listen? I'm really big on respect. So for me, I really do show respect to everyone.
I get it. But in those situations, I feel it's you can disagree without being disagreeable. And ever having to get to catching a fade, or even making it seem like you want to catch a fade, then you can remove your presence, which is the best penalty you can pretty much give anyone. I learned that before because I used to go back and forth with my ex, go back and forth. But the moment I stopped going back and forth, my God.
I don't think you understand. Let me tell you what I don't do is actually argue. That I stopped doing that years ago because it's emotionally draining. So like when I say you can catch this fade, like I'm just like being kind of like funny with it, but the reality of it is like I don't yell, I don't scream, I don't argue. And when something no longer serves me, I remove myself from the situation because there is no point. Like why are we going back and forth? Why is there negativity and discourse and demeaning? Like that's what I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna diminish you. Even if a nigga is like low key being the biggest of trifling, the lowest of lows. I had somebody who actually really dogged me out really badly. And instead of
I got a sound for you.
I'm sorry?
I got a sound for you.
You got a sound.
I don't know if you didn't hear it. Y'all didn't hear it?
No. I heard something was about to come through.
It's toxic.
Y'all didn't hear that?
No, you said it's toxic.
Yeah.
Listen,
no more catching fades, no more mentality of catching fades, because that mentality is I'll go toe to toe with you if you disrespect me. I get it. I get it. Don't
No,
trip. I'm gonna
I'm
get it out
saying
of you. I'm
I
gonna get it out of
don't.
you because you win with femininity all the time. The most,
I'm telling you, I
like,
don't. I'm telling you, I don't do that. That's the
oh,
the
well,
whole.
it sounds like it often when you say that. So this is the second show. You're
No,
100%. You're 2 for 2 right now.
no. Let me tell. I'm telling you, in real life, in actual real life, in my relationships, I was saying that there was someone who dogged me out really badly, and instead of me going in on them and being disrespectful to them, all I did was let them know, like, I really appreciated the time that we had together. And no disrespect, I want to keep you in the image that I had you. So I'm going to remove myself from the situation. Like, let's be real, we're all characters and we have like high energy or whatever. But in real actual life, like, I stopped a long time ago with the rah-rah because, to your point, it doesn't serve anybody.
Oh, that
So
was perfect.
most people also, though, don't know how to be met with the respect that you show them because they've never seen it before. So then
that
when
was
you come to
perfect
them
right
and you
there.
say, I'm not gonna argue with you, but let's let calmer heads prevail. Let's actually don't raise your voice. I won't raise mine. Don't
That was
curse at me.
perfect. That was perfect. But like I told y'all, we're gonna see how this works. But that was the first one. But that was perfect. No, that was perfect how you explained it though. Even with the time, I understand better when you said time. The first one I was, I didn't get a full understanding. So I understand better with that, and I agree. And then even with the way you explained that scenario right there, that was a perfect explanation. That was perfect. The way you said that, I want to hold you in the light that I have now. So before we change that, I'm gonna just go ahead and, like I said, remove myself. So yeah, like I said, that was perfect.
Absolutely.
I gotta ask this hard question. Well, the question is not hard. The answer that I'm gonna give probably is gonna mess some people up. But so we're gonna scroll that down at the bottom. I wanted to ask y'all: do we live in a matriarchy? And yeah, we'll just start with a yes or no question. LeGree, do we live
Well,
in a
hey,
matriarchy? In
can
our
I just
community, in the
touch
Black
something
community,
before we
not
jump
the
into
world.
that?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just want to jump on and touch on something real quick before we get into that, because it goes back to something you had brought up, and that is the welfare system was incentivizing women to keep men out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that we're dealing with 40, almost 50 years later right now, is that in that time between then and now, women were then further empowered in the workforce through various means, their own ingenuity, education, many things. But now I would say today, more so than in the past, women don't always choose not to keep a man around because of welfare, as much as now they genuinely feel empowered to where they can work and be a single mom. And so I don't want to discredit that as well. I don't want to say that all single moms live off of welfare, because not all of them do.
Right.
But at the same token, we as men have to learn to deal in this world where women are now empowered to not need us as much as they used to. They don't. They have jobs. They have more opportunities. And as men, we can't tie our masculinity or our worth only to that financial burden thing that we bring, because I don't know how many women are going to want to go back to the time where they were financially subservient to men.
Man, it ain't coming out the bag. Even though they all say that they want to, they're
deal
not.
with
They all say they want to be taken care of, but they don't want that to happen because there's a level of control and submission that comes with that, and they don't want to be submissive. Especially these women that you're saying that bought the bullet and bit the bait, or bought the bait and bit the bullet. So they're working, they financially free, and they're not going back to that. So yeah, I totally understand that. But again, do we live in a matriarchy, Khary, right now in our community? Yes or no?
Do we live in a matriarchy? I don't think that America as a
No,
whole
in our
is a
community.
matriarchy.
In our community.
In our community, I
Yeah.
think that we are in much more of a power sharing scenario, whereas it was patriarchal
So that's no.
very solidly
So
in the
that's no.
past. We definitely do not live in a patriarchy anymore. Now, would I
Got
say
you.
we're in a
We're gonna give
matriarchy?
context. We're gonna give
I don't know.
context. We're gonna give context later. This is a conversation we're gonna have. So that's why I started with is a yes or no question. So I believe from what you were saying, you're saying no. Right now, we do not live in a matriarchy.
No, I
No.
wouldn't say that we live in a matriarchy. No.
Okay, LeGree, what do you think?
I think from a mindset, I would say that we don't, but I think in the literal sense of like what's happening in the workforce, yes.
Okay, and I think that we definitely do live in a matriarchal society as far as in the Black community, and it's been that way for my whole life and probably a little bit longer. And I'll give my reasons afterwards. But it seems like Khary, you wanted to break it down first, but you can. But keep it short because we're gonna have a conversation about
quick. I will definitely say and the context that I was given before is like, I would say it's more 50-50 egalitarian than it was before, because before it was very strictly patriarchy, and then because of said attack on the family and community.
Sorry, let me stop you. I apologize. Sorry, brother. The reason why I want to do that, because that's 50-50 is like some. It's not giving me, unless you really, and I don't really think nothing is honestly even. So unless you really think it's 50-50, I honestly would believe it would have to be at least
I just don't think that
51.
I don't think that we have the statistics to say where we're at genuinely.
I'm asking your opinion. So that's what I'm saying. This is just a conversation we're having.
I don't think we've completely slid out of patriarchy. No, I still think that men are more powerful than women in this society. And in the black community.
In our community.
I mean, I don't know anyone in my community that's looking for a matriarch. You know what I mean? I don't know. I know a lot of women who like to pretend like they're bossed up and they control things. I don't know anybody who's really going to them for anything, to be honest with you. And so do I think we live in a matriarchy? No, I think we live in a scenario where women are very vocal and they are empowered. And but do they have the power that we're claiming? I don't.
And it's more 50-50 partnership. But they think do they think they have the power that you think they're claiming?
Well, I think that like if you go into a corporate environment, they're going to definitely side with a black woman over a black man in a corporate environment. Okay. In a corporate type environment, yes, I do. But that's not our neighbor. That's not our community. Our community doesn't mostly live in a corporate environment.
It ties in though as far as the jobs and why they have certain jobs and even why they're more enrolled.
Exactly, and that's where their empowerment comes from. Yes, absolutely.
So it all ties in. LeGree, what do you think, or why did you say that we don't? Or
I said I said that mentally we have not, but maybe literally,
right.
Yeah. I think that most specifically is because we've had to though. Like a lot of the things that Black women do is not because we want to, it's because we have to. Like you said about a woman like wanting to be like a kept woman essentially and having the man go out into the workforce and do the things like that sounds beautiful. But unfortunately, we're not society has not set us up anymore that's a thing that can actually happen. So unfortunately, due to the need, the actual necessity of having to go out into the workforce and to get all of the degrees and do all of the things in order to be the level of quote unquote boss or whatever, like it's been forced upon us. Like if I had someone to turn to, I would gladly sit in a corner and be still somewhere and look cute and make a male child. Like I would, that sounds great. However, that's not the way my life is set up. So I've had to quote unquote boss up and work my way up to certain things. And but where people get it twisted is that all of a sudden, because a woman bosses up in some fashion, that it somehow diminishes the need for the man. And that's where people get it really messed up.
Wait, no, this is her time, Khary. Khary, this is her time. Let her do her thing. And then I'm next.
Sorry, I thought she was done.
And then I'm next. And then we're gonna bring it back to you, and then her, then me again.
No, I'm just gonna say that no matter what levels of anything that I achieve in my lifetime, I will never say out of my mouth that I don't need a man. That is the longest and strongest of lies ever. And I think that that's where the problem comes, because a woman says like, oh, well, I can pay my own rent and I own my car and I have a roof over my head and I'm living great. However, what a man's contribution, what Khary was saying earlier, the male contribution is more than $1. It's not about the price. It's not about the bag. Like there are things that men contribute to life as a whole, like just like women contribute to life as a whole, that has nothing to do with money. If we didn't have it,
see LeGree? So y'all, this is why.
Oh, what? The
light. She has the light. You have the light in you. I know it. The light is in her, y'all. She knows the way. The force is strong within her. It's just some of those things that we have to stamp out.
No, but see, that's just the thing. That's just the thing, is that you think that you have to stamp out these things because I'm animated and I'm extra. We all know that, right? But in real life, I'm the greatest supporter of actual Black men. I love Black men.
I know you do.
Yeah, I absolutely. I love our squad. I love Black men. I'm very supportive. I love the Black men that are in my life. It's funny because I say the woman that I am is because of the Black man that I had. My father the shine and LeGree shine is actually the reason why I am the woman that I am today. I cannot be here and I can't be her without having had him.
And this is why we all say that we want to keep families together. We need more Black men in the homes for their daughters and their sons. But that's a good example right there, what LeGree just said. Okay, so what you said made me think of most women, when they say I'm strong and independent, then they mean that as an independent of what? Independent of who? Independent of a man. They also follow that up sometimes, well, most times, with I don't need no man. I'm independent. I don't need no man. Not saying that's what you saying.
I know. I'm like, but girl, why you do? But go ahead.
Yeah, but this is the mantra. This is the sisterhood mantra, and that's why I say we need more sisters in the sisterhood to hold each other accountable. But I say we live in a matriarchy because Big Mama has always ran the house as far as I've been alive. She's held the finances. She did all of that. So from me being raised in a single mother home before I was a ward of the state, my mom ran everything. She told my dad when he could see me, when he could come to the house, when to leave the house. Not saying he's less of a man, but he only could do so much from his house. And when I got to his house on weekends, so when I could get there, or when I was allowed to go by my mom, per se, that's what that was. So most people in our community, and I think the number is between 60 and 70%, and I don't want to smash it. That's why I gave that big of a range, but that's the amount of kids that are raised in single mother homes. So if 60 to 70% of our community households are led by mothers, then I would beg to say that we live in a matriarchy in our community. All our movies don't always reflect life, but they do stem from that. So like Big Mama House, I mean, we all can, say that. But so that's one of the reasons why I say that. Then two, the most enrolled in college, most educated, things like that. Now I don't disagree with you, Khary, when you're saying that men are more than just finances, because but even at that, before I tap into that, because I agree totally with that part, men still out earn our women. So I don't even know why they say that. So it's like even saying that is kind of like another part of what we were saying, the image. And I'm saying that's part of what would get us further and back together is the image. So our image is messed up by them even disavowing like stats. Like I'll give stats on panels and sources, quote my sources, put it in the link, put it in the feed so they can see the stats and everything, and they'll still disbelieve the stats. So just like how they say, women actually say this online. I'm not going to say in the streets, but online. Well, I would say in the streets too, because I've heard women use it against me when I didn't do what they want me to do and shit. They use the gay term. So they say online, women say that at least 60 or 70% of Black men are either gay or down low. And I'm like, that's impossible. That's not the percentage is not, that's not even like, so.
Even in the white population, only 10% identify as gay. So it would be wild to think that 60 to 70% of Black men, we outstrip the.
And then when I tell them
it will be wild on the internet. People are wild.
But then when you tell them the stats, they'll say, no, but that's why they're down low. That's why I said down low. It's like, why? Because anytime a guy has standards, he's sassy and he whatever. So again, it's the image fight. So our image is the thing. But yeah, I firmly believe we live in a matriarchy. I have some other proof as far as our music, politicians now, especially in the community, from Fannie Willis down to Tiffany Henyard to Sonia McKnight to, I mean,
we could actually look at the numbers as well. This was my point, is that it's closer to parity now, but it's not majority women. It's just that the disproportionate media representation, they're getting all of the looks right now. And it's not to poo-poo on them getting.
Are you saying on the upper level, as far as like in the
majority?
So it's more balanced.
I get it that.
What about our households?
Black women have been in charge of households, but I think we established that that's because the state empowered them to not have men around.
Yeah,
that's not natural, and so it's not going to be reflected culturally as much as the stats represent that. That's all I'm saying.
No, I think it's very much inflected culturally by the way that our children act and the way they grow up into men. You know what I mean? And women. I think that's very, the single mother stats speak for themselves. And so that's also something that I think like you said, is
I will
follow the
say
dollars.
that a lot of Black men raised by single mothers were very palatable to Hollywood and media, and so we see a lot of Black men from single mother homes presented to us.
And then
I
tie that
don't
into relating
think
more to
that
their
most
emotional
Black men
side.
who are active in their communities and doing the things that we're talking about, which I think was a good fair share of them, they're not going to be represented as heavily. And that's why I'm saying I get it that, yeah, there's a space for these people more now than before, but I don't really think they run in real Black people's lives. They're running media stuff because white people find them palatable, but I think that real Black men are going to look more for the
And our
Kendricks.
community follows the media, unfortunately.
Right.
And men like me and you in the community, we're twos and fews. Unfortunately, we're a minority. I will say that, and I can definitely be truthful about that. Not men that are doing the right thing as far as living their life, but are actually willing to reach out to mentor kids, take kids in, show them things. Men like that, they're twos and fews. And I'm not saying majority of the men aren't doing the right thing, because I believe majority of the men just want to go home. If they have a lady or a wife, that they would just want to go home, be with their wife, eat, do recycle, rinse, and go back. But
you're 100% right there.
But
We have
doing
a
what we're doing,
serious lack of mental.
it's a definitely a minority. So I understand that. I just don't want to say that like that's and spread that out amongst everybody. But I do think that more of us should be doing that. But I've had problems also with getting full, not authority, because I don't want full authority over someone else's kid. But if I'm mentoring your son, there are things that I need to do. There are things that I would have to be able to take from a boy. Like you can't teach a boy and mold the boy if there's nothing that you can remove from his life that he actually values and appreciates. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's other than physical abuse, and that's not the way. So you have to have something. And when a parent takes that from you, or a mother takes that from you, and you're trying to mentor their child, then it's kind of it makes it hard. And I'm saying that to the mothers out there, let the men do their thing. Anything other than abuse, let these men mentor these kids and take a little step back. That's why a lot of times these moms will be on the sideline getting in a fight with assistant coaches and just like, no, I'm tough. It's gonna be some tough love out here. That's how it go with boys.
That's a valid point, because rearing these days, it has to be consequential. I think that's where people are actually like missing the mark, is that there has to be some level of consequence, because life has consequences. Real life outside has consequences, and not rearing a child to know that there are consequences for either their actions or for however they're maneuvering, or you're not always going to get what it is that you ask for or you want. You can ask nicely, but the answer isn't always going to be yes. Like, you have to teach children that is a thing, because I think that's how we grew up to be how we are, like, to be able to face that rejection and
how
not
we learn boundaries.
You know what? Perfectly stated. Boundaries. You have to set boundaries. Expectations have to be set. And that people have to be open. Mothers, fathers, anyone has to be open to someone being able to tell their child, because don't talk to my child. Okay, bet. But when they get out in this world, no one's going to care about what your mom said. You say that right now.
And Khary, that's what I meant by in our community. I feel, or no, fuck that. I think that there's not a masculine authority overall. So the guidance and the leadership in our community doesn't come from the minority of men like us. It comes from the majority of men that see their kids on the weekend as molding these kids into what they are, and then the women that are actually in control of these households, making the decisions and molding these kids into the next race or the next generation. Sorry about that. The next generation. So that's all I meant in that sense. But like, if
a lot of people who are financially successful in our community, they are empowered not by the community, so they don't represent the values and morals of the community, but then they come back with all this money, and we want to give them respect for being successful, but then they come and they represent some morals and values that do not represent us as a community, and we're running into that. I think because, even if we disagree, I have the same values as you, Brown. So it's not like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a genuine, trying to come to the middle and come to an answer on something. Whereas a lot of these guys don't.
Let me
share values with you, so they disagree wholeheartedly.
Let me stop you right quick, and let me just say this for everybody. It's a fucking disingenuous question anyway. So it's not like we disagree. It's a disingenuous question, because no way do we live in a matriarchy. Men run the world and men run our community. But I'm just saying, in a way, I was just trying to, what I'm saying? Yeah. I was just, but no. So I do think that we live in a matriarchy in our community, but I still think the men that are in the community, even minority or small as it may be, we have enough influence and power that we still can move enough mass enough to make decisions in our community. But that's why it's getting actually better. It's just slow, and it would happen faster if we had the assistance of our sisters. But the sister code is
this
strong.
unity in our
Sister code is
community
strong,
is
bro.
keeping us back for sure.
The sister,
I'm
sisterhood
happy,
is strong.
but can we also talk about? I mean, this support, it has to be cyclical, because a lot of the Black men, unfortunately, when they do create their families, they're not creating them with Black women anymore. A lot of these Black men are procreating with them. Look at your face, Khary.
You're right. That number is growing. It was 13% and it's now 21%, and that number grew that amount of percentage for a reason, I think. And so, yes, we do have to look at that. But I think that you should tell your sisters to look at that too. What are these other women doing? What are these other women doing? Maybe we could mirror some of. No, I'm just saying, because I mean, they're not just jumping the ship for nothing. Because we were talking earlier. Let me say this: Maria, Consuela, Chiquita.
I'm done.
Jose come home from standing on the corner selling them oranges, though. They got that bath water ready, and she might have been selling flowers and doing it. Telote, selling corn and shit, but they still come together and whatever. They'll let a immigrant come in from a family member. They'll let them sleep on the couch. They'll get a job. Everybody will save up. They'll buy a house. Then they'll let the other family members sleep in. Now they own the whole damn block. I've seen it happen in several communities that I've stayed in. So we can do the same thing. It's just about how we view each other. Like Khary was saying, they don't view their man as less of a man and have no leadership or no say-so in the house because he isn't making comparable to what another race of people or upper class of people are making. They're willing to work and meet 50-50 and work what we call struggle love in our community. They're willing to go through that struggle love and build together to get to that point. And then now we have a business to where she works sparingly when she chooses, or if it's a business that she wants to do, you know what I mean? And so that way, that if she decided to retire from that business, she could be at home. And now they've built to a point to where they can do that together. But our women want to be come in with that microwave top ramen and just heat the hot water up and just be the finish line. And that's the same thing about the our men, like at these because I know it's the combine had them triggered. The NFL draft had them triggered because our Black athletes were having white women and stuff like that. LeGree, that's because these women were with them when they were building in college. In college, our women were talking about, I'm getting my degree. F these dudes. I got to get my degree first and yada, yada, yada. I see a lot of white women with rings in graduation at the same time as cap and gown. And so it's just we have a different mentality. We do. We definitely do. And I get why, because they need to be able to support themselves. I totally get it and rely on nobody. This is a new era. You can't just sit back and do that. What we live in today, that's why I tell a lot of people it takes more than one income to even have a prosperous household anyway.
But a lot of times it comes to the, like, I mean, we don't, like, we talk about like the facts and figures of diminishing. I don't want to diminish anyone or anything, but the subservientness of a woman. Like, if you don't want somebody, like, what did I say that I started off this whole conversation about talking about what love actually is, that love is actually accountable. Love will tell you when you're not operating at your best self, but obviously the way you say it is going to matter, of course. But a lot of times, a lot of men in general, I won't just deduce it to say Black men, but a lot of people in general, they don't want to be held accountable. And sometimes they go with what's easier. And a lot of times stepping outside of your own community is a lot easier and it's a lot more palatable because because of the novelty. And this is what I've learned from a lot of Black men that have stepped outside, procreated even. I'm talking about like a very recent and very heavy and very current situation of realizing like, no, you were a novelty to this white woman. You were not seen as a Black man who had the stature and the standing that you want to be seen as, but for the moment you were the novelty and you were the thing, and therefore just like the slave.
Here you go. I got this for you right here.
Might have to drop a dime on them niggas. For sure. I don't like that shit. For sure, bro.
She don't like that shit, y'all.
I'm just saying, like Black men are not a novelty to me. Black men are the answer to me. To other races, at times, Black men are a novelty. Black women can be a novelty to a white man. So, like, let's not diminish that in any way. Sometimes I feel like they're trying to live out a Slavic fantasy. And then there's just those people who come together because they genuinely, right? There's numbers for every scenario. But I'm just saying that oftentimes, like, you're being celebrated in spaces that only temporarily are seeing your greatness. and they're not really looking to the core of who you are. It's only about what you look like or what you do or what that appearance is. It's the novelty of your blackness. Whereas a black woman, and I do realize, and I understand there's a lot of black women who say very negative things about black men generally, and it really disgusts me because I come from a black man, I come from a black woman. My dopeness is contingent upon my actual blackness, my love for people and my black community. Like, it's a different experience when you're walking this earth that people do not have any clue what it is like to be black in America. Being black in America is knowing what it is to be black in America and how to show up for someone with that on a daily basis. Like, I'm sorry, but
I'm gonna say this. I believe in you enough, LeGree, that I could see you somewhere and I'm stepping up. So just know that, like, regardless. So it ain't going down. You be catching no phase while I'm around.
No,
no. I'm just saying in general, because I won't do that for anybody, and I don't recommend anybody to do that for anybody. This person that you were willing to do that for has to earn that from you, and you have done that as what you showed as a person and as a friend in general. As just so, that's what I just wanted to get that out there for, like to people, because in the red pill space, in the manosphere, there is a lot of I don't know her like that, or if she ain't my woman, or if but that's not really the way the real, because there's some ragers, what we call them. The ragers will say that, but what it really means is women that aren't acting feminine in public. Like, so if they're out there and they're berating men, yelling men, throwing water on men, God forbid you slap a man and then he hits you, don't expect to get help. You will from some men, because I'll even try to like, hey, what's going on? But if I see you like, no, I don't know why you're doing this. Wait, hey, sir, could you like whatever? Excuse me, I'm just gonna leave, and then you try to leave and he grab your hair or something like that. Yo, he's gonna get mollywopped.
Right.
So there's different levels to that. There ain't no protection and all of this. So it's just, but people don't think that there should be. Some men say that, and then some women say that. But I disagree with that shit. You out there wilding, I might just be like, damn, that's a toxic relationship y'all got. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be like, bro, you don't want to go to jail, bro. Just chill out. I might do that from afar. But
you could be held accountable for something you ain't do. And so a lot of times, it's not even about trying to want to be chivalrous or white knight or something. Sometimes you see a woman acting her way and she has her own entitlements. Like, she might get away with acting like that, where you as a man, you try to step in, you're not going to get away with that. Right. Moreover, the police are going to see you in the wrong. Everybody on social media going to laugh at you. Like, why? Yeah. Listen, man.
Khary, we got a comment. You want to read the comment, Brother Zoed?
But yet they still keep choosing the bad men to procreate with. You say accountability, but we need to hold Black women accountable for partner selection.
Listen. So I will say this. I feel like that statement right there is low-key kind of twofold, because a lot of times, and I hate to say this, but like, men generally speaking, I'm not going to, they present themselves to be one thing that they're not. A lot of these men are choosing to procreate with these women, and they do leave them high and dry. A lot of times a man will sell you a bill of goods and make it seem like he wants something more than what he actually wants. And then you end up by yourself. Like, sometimes people do just choose the bad man because, ooh, bro, I love me a thug. Like that shit is hot. Okay, bad. Love you, that thug, and love all the things that comes with that thug, right? Because we already know what that's going to lend itself to be in this lifetime. So yes, there are women who choose poorly. There are a lot of women who choose poorly. And also, like, look, you can pop a pill. Like, you can. You don't even have to go through. We don't gone the days of the wire hanger. Like, you can just pop a pill and be done with this. I mean, I know that's probably like horrible to say, but it's real life. There's plan B for a reason. So like, let's not forget that you're putting yourself in a position, and this man in a position, and having expectations on someone who didn't even want what you brought into this. I get that. Like, everybody has to be accountable in this respect. So, but it's true. If nobody should be laying down with anybody that they can't see themselves procreating with. If we really want to get down to the core of it, you really shouldn't be letting any and everybody up in you in like that anyway. But we live in a society that is very much of the instant gratification, and we just want to have a good time. Well, good times have consequences too.
Hold up, I got a sound for that.
My nigga.
But yeah. No, real shit. It's rare that you hear women trying to not trying, but actually holding other women accountable. And it's correct. I get caught up in the conversation, and it's I would say it's 60-40 in the choosing better mate selection as far as people to procreate with. because I want to say it's 60% on the woman. No, I'm gonna just raise that up to 70. So I would say it's 70-30.
How do you know though? Like legitimately, like think about it, in a relationship, you can be with somebody for 10 years. You can be with somebody for 10 years before you get married, right? And then 1 year of marriage and it's trash and you're divorced. You can be with
I understand. In those type situations, after a 10-year relationship and you're in a,
You
you
seen that
can't really
happen
say.
before?
people,
I was gonna say that's rare.
all the time that
I
people
was gonna
like,
say that's rare, but
That's a rough one, man. 'Cause I've never seen that. That's...
like relationship, you really see that like the relationships of people who sometimes have been in a relationship for an extended period of time, they get married and the marriage doesn't work out. Where there's people who've been together for like 3 and 6 months and they're married for a lifetime. Like it's not about right. It's the individuals. Unfortunately,
you know what that sounds like? It sounds like they were already burnt out. Like that 10-year could have been a 10-year marriage. Like they could have got married the second year and then around year 10 went to therapy and worked that out, and they probably would have still been together. Who knows? I'm just saying, but that sounds like a different scenario though. 10 years and he still ain't married you after 10 years. If it took him 10 years to ask you that question, there was a lot of stuff going on.
Or it
could be the statistical one where they got married and finances became a thing. Like, oh, now our finances are tied, and now I see where everything is. And
we were already tied when y'all was living in the same household. Because let's be real,
Pretty
y'all
much.
was dating across the pond for 10 years. I was probably living together. And
Some
doing
people think that the marriage will change the other person, either male or female. That's what I'm saying. So they're like, okay, 10 years we've been shaky, we've been going through it, but now we decided to get married and we went before the Lord, and we're gonna. And so
Lord gonna change you.
But look, the same way you just said that marriage won't change the relationship, neither will a baby. And this is where this is where a lot of people think that, oh, but if we had a baby, the baby's gonna make it better. So when you say choose better, like let's not negate though. Let's not just say that women need to choose better mates, but the reality of it is it's also on the other side. Like y'all need to choose better baby mamas. That good pussy ain't always the best mother. Like it's not, it doesn't translate, because this is not just about bad men, it's about the women too.
Okay, so give me a fraction. I say 70-30 women. Give me a fraction.
I just wanted to interject. The only and I don't typically like to
interject after your fraction. Give me a fraction.
Wait, a fraction
on what responsibility is whose?
Yeah. We shaming. 70-30. I say 70-30. I say 70-30 women.
I would say
men 30.
And I'm gonna have to explain this, but I would say it's like 20-80 on the woman.
Wait.
And I'll explain to you why. I'm sorry.
You're saying 80% the woman's fault, 20% the man's
No.
fault?
I'm saying it's her responsibility.
Right. Same thing with me. Not fault. Okay. False a bad word. False a bad word.
Responsible because it's her body.
Like, false bad word. Hold on, Khary. Hold on, Khary. I'm sorry. What's your percentage, LeGree?
I'm gonna say I'm gonna have to agree with him on that. I'm gonna even go 85-15 because if we're talking about it's her body, plan B all day.
Because it's
and I said 70-30 being nice.
Abortion, who's gonna take the plan B? It's your body. You know what I mean? So if you don't want to deal with a baby, then I would highly suggest don't fuck me. Because it is a chance that you might have a baby. I'm just saying, as from men to women, we got to be real with it. Like a woman, it's your body that's gonna hurt. Because when I'm done and I roll over, it's all in my head from there on out. For the most part, no. And I'm not trying to be salacious. I'm just
talking
saying
biology.
It's your body. You know what I mean? It's your temple, and if you respect it and you demand people respect it, they're gonna have to listen to you. I mean, granted, niggas is rude sometimes, but in a respectful relationship, it's mostly on the woman to decide, because I'm just asking for sex. You're the one who gets to decide whether the sex happens.
And how it happens, actually.
You know what I mean?
If you said I can't come in the club without my ID, hold on, Khary. When they say you can't come in the club without an ID, what do niggas do? Show up with ID.
Yeah.
So if I can't get in the club and shoot the club up without a good Magnum, I'm gonna show up with that gold pack. If I know that you ain't gonna let me get in the club without a Magnum, I'm coming with the Magnum.
When it comes to pregnancy,
y'all are 100,000, not even like a figure that could never even be 100,000% right in this particular case. And I am of the same mindset, which is why I'm not in these streets, and which is why I don't subscribe to these things, and I don't let the masses.
But now I will say that as a nigga who takes personal responsibility, that when niggas on the block are abusive to women because of rejection, I try my best to let niggas know, like, yo, you can't be all upset at her because she don't want to fuck you.
That's trash. See,
Can't do that, bro.
That's that
Then you
single
fucking
mother
it up for
shit because they're
everybody.
emotional. That's that single mother emotion shit raising up out of them. That shit is foul. That's the foul.
Yeah,
That's
a
the
nigga
worst
with a
shit
father
ever.
knows better, because that's
Now, I
something
don't mind
that
a good
every
cat
father
call.
teaches
I don't
their
mind a
son,
good
like, you
cat
don't do
call.
it no woman because she said no to you.
Don't let me get you wrong. Now, I'm not above a good cat call. Hey, I got long distance range now. Cat call.
Term of endearment, baby.
Hey, little mama, hey.
No,
All right,
I'm
little
just
mama, hey, now I see you. And depending on what she say, I'm approaching or not. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna do no like, oh, that ass fat over there. Oh, like, no, I ain't with all that. That's
just to say
harassment in my sense.
that
That's harassment. Even if she got
we
on
have
some bullshit, it's still
responsibility as
harassment.
men
I don't care if she
to
got
check
on the fucking
dudes
bikini. It's
who are
harassment.
messing it up for us. We got to check the dudes who aren't being responsible with it, because every woman has a horror story. Every chick I know got a horror story about a nigga they said no to who went too far. That shit's got to stop. And the women ain't going to be able to stop it. It's on us to stop those niggas and
No,
let
you're right.
them know.
Right. And it's
there's
not
an issue
always
with it.
it's not always the Pookie and Ray Rays. There's some men that just, you know what I'm saying, don't get access like that, and they rage out when they, you know what I'm saying, get rejected. So definitely, but see, that's
And
another thing that
it is those
wait,
no
wait.
father ass having niggas, but
It is them too.
you
But
gotta
hold on,
know
that's
we
another
live
thing I
with
wanted to say right
them.
quick.
Yeah.
That's another point of the space though. We make a point to tell men don't do shit like that. Like so a matter of fact is that even by you saying that, and I'm gonna double down with it. That's the most lowball scoundrel shit you could do. You don't deserve to be alive. They're gonna put you under the jail for that shit. And when you get there, they're gonna stump you some more until you go all the way to hell. That's what
They're
happens
gonna
to men
turn
that do
around
shit like that. When we know
they
that
put
in
you
our
down after
community.
that.
Can I
It
tell
is
you
just
something?
around.
Can I tell you something?
And black women need to know that black men feel that way about them, so that we can stop this whole thing where black women feel like we don't want to protect them. That's not
I know.
the case.
That's what I'm saying.
There's
It's
some
the
white
image.
niggas out there, don't get it wrong.
It's the image.
But most black men that I know of want to.
As a black woman who I would say, I mean, we can't see all the things or whatever, but like Dennis, the way that I present myself, the energy that I have, the archie, blah, blah, whatever, it doesn't even matter how I present it. All that is irrelevant. But I will say that I only say that in the sense of like, I went out, let me just say a scenario. I went out, it was BET weekend. And in BET weekend, I was accosted by 3 different guys in this time frame, which was very disappointing to me because these 3 men were actually like in my atmosphere. Like they were in my space of like people that I frequent. And it was very unfortunate. And one in particular that really messed me up was walking to after like a big day party that happened on this BET weekend, and someone was walking me to my car. I was better off walking to my car by myself. I was fine walking by myself, but he was like, oh, well, let me walk you to your car. And my knee was like hurting. So I took my shoes off at my car and started to get into my driver's side or whatever. And he grabbed me by my waist and thrust his little nasty, dusty dick against my ass and was saying like, ooh, girl, da-da-da.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh at you.
No, it's fine. I know the way that I'm describing it is not the best. But in that moment, I thought to myself, what the fuck did I ever do to make you think that for 1 second, this would be appropriate, that this would be okay? You talk about the level of safety that I was so disgusted in that moment. And like, I've never really seen that person again. I have no intentions of ever engaging with them or anything, but I was nice to them just because I say hello. Like, I'm a nice person. Don't misconstrue my kindness for somehow being, I'm nice. But
Yeah,
that's
that's gonna make my stomach hurt.
Yes, but see, that's just the thing. Like when you talk about how we show, like when I specifically say my local astronauts family, which I'm very grateful for, which is how I met you in the first place. Like I feel safe in that presence. I feel safe with these men. Me feeling safe in an environment as a single woman, like being alone for all this time, like it is not an easy thing to do, to walk out. So when people do often prey on your vulnerability, or they prey on like the thing that you want or you desire, and they present themselves. That's why sometimes like it's not always a woman's fault in terms of maybe the acts themselves, in terms of them falling victim to someone making them feel safe. I'm fortunate that I have been able to decipher that you're really not, you're not consistent enough for me to be able to engage with you in that way. But at the end of the day, the reality does come down to like the minute or the second that you think that you could possibly be like, man, plan B.
Like, no. In those assault situations, no, I would never victim blame. I'm not one of those to say it
Oh no, I
had.
don't think you guys have at all, though.
Yeah, no. I was just saying this because I know we got a lot of young guys that watch us. So, and it's important for them to get the character of men, because I do understand. Like, I get a lot of comments of different people that do look up to me. So I just want to let them know that, like, that's not the mind state to have, and I definitely don't have that shit.
You don't, and I'm grateful to you for it. I love you so much for that. From the moment that I have met you back in, what was it, 2017? Like, all the ways that we have been rocking, like, honestly, like, the energy that, see, that's the other part of this, like the energy and the safety, that community of taking care of one another, like, that's extremely important, and that is what is greatly lacking. That doesn't just need to be extended to our young Black women, but Black women need to see that Black men actually care about us beyond trying to get up in our guts, like, beyond just whatever physically, like, yeah, big booty, like, whatever you think of girls find. Aside from all of that, like, don't you want to protect me? Like, don't you want to?
You know why though? Honestly, that's why I told you earlier. You earn that, and it's the femininity and the love and the caring and the nurturing that you give off. But never at no point do you give off, I can't protect myself, but you do give off enough femininity to where I would rather do it.
And I love you for that.
You know what I mean? So that's what I would like to get off to more women. Like, femininity is not being overly smiley and happy in a guy's face, or walking with a guy doing whatever any old random guy says. No, it's just a level of being a lady, being classy. That's all I'm saying. And I try to get women to understand that, and men to be able to understand when they see that and realize she's not flirting with you. She's just being a classy woman. So, you know what I mean? There's
a lot of these single mothers who are not doing great with raising young boys. They're not doing great with also raising young girls as well. And so we're dealing with a generation of young ladies who might not have a lot of great role models outside of maybe Beyonce and Alicia Keys as to how to be dignified and I don't even, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, who, you know, you got Rhapsody. I don't know, like, who are we really gonna?
I would like to get back to the days to where the biggest role models were in the home. And so like a lot of things with the single mother thing with the, I know, unfortunately, the genie's out the bottle. But a lot of things that like with the single mother, since we back there, I would say it's the sacrifice not being made. You know, I don't know if it's fear of missing out or I don't know, man. But like, I don't want to sound crazy, but when I had my daughter when she was 3, from like 2, really 2 from 2 to 4.5, 5. My life stopped.
Yeah.
I think I might have went to a club a year. Like, if that. Like, because you gotta put shit to the side. Like, yeah, it's like, so I don't see a lot of that. I see a lot of TVs doing the teaching. When I don't even date like that anymore. So, but when I used to date, I seen who was raising their kids.
It's the iPad.
It wasn't them. It was the iPad. Yeah, it was the pad, the iPad, the TV, Nickelodeon, and God forbid they go, when they get their phone and turn their back, they go to sites they're not supposed to go to. So, is my mic too loud? I don't know.
No.
It's cool.
I think we're fortunate. I feel most fortunate to not come from a generation of Instagram necessarily, like, most specifically. I think it's good that I think we're the last. I mean, being a millennial, it's like the last of playing outside, right? Like the last of, like, to that sense of community and the whole neighborhood, like, experience, because now it really is, like, I mean, little 6-month-old, and you're not even exaggerating by saying this, a 6-month-old can navigate through YouTube to get to their video on their parents' phone, right? Like, that's just, technology is, like, it's taking over, but, like, it's the actual rearing of a child, the conversations that need to be had. I watched a video, though. This is I have 2 nieces. Oh my God, I love my nieces. But we had YouTube playing on TV one day, and on the YouTube channel that was playing, there was a family that their goal of their little, whatever the moment, that the task for the day was to see who could go into the toy store and spend the most money in the least amount of time. And I know, right? So, and I looked at that and I was just like, what are we doing? And I watched this thing and I honestly was, like, so disgusted by it, because at a young age, they're thinking that there's, like, infinite amount of income and infinite amount of just funds to go and do and be. And, like, where gone are the days of like walking to the store before you get in there, your mama saying like, "Hey, don't even ask for nothing because you ain't it ain't happening." So do you have McDonald's money? Like all that energy is what bred a more disciplined, more financially sound child versus.
Khary, I wanted to ask you this. Sorry to cut you off, LeGree. I'm sorry. I thought. Were you done? I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that the internet being the thing that leads these children versus the men and women in their lives that are teaching them the ways of the world and how they should be, like we're falling very much victim to just the simplicity, like that just a really basic culture now. Like we with no morals and no values, spend money, basic TikTok dance bullshit, 30 seconds of whatever. Like there's no substance to our children anymore.
Yeah.
This generation
It's got so easy. Hard work ain't even hard work no more.
It's hard work. It's not even hard work because you can get millions of dollars by opening a package for a toy. You're 10 and you're out, and people who've been working 30 years will never see the money that you've seen at the age of 10 because you learn how to react to opening a Lego set. And
okay. This is what I wanted to say before I lost it. We were on the point before that led to that. It was I wanted to end off with it, but slipped my mind. So good people actually raise good children. So I know the stats with single fathers are similar to the stats of children raised with both parents, and then the stats in single mother homes are really lower. But I think it's just good people. It's not because it's single mother. It's because a lot of those single mothers aren't actually good people. But when it comes to women, like men, most bad men, they don't get to procreate, but all women get to procreate if they so choose to, and unless they can't, not biologically. But so that's why you do see a high percentage, it's not a majority though, but a high percentage of it's not a high percentage. It's about 20% of the kids that do come from these homes, I would say. And I'm just saying that's why it was so hard to nail a number down, because I don't want to make nothing up. But I think it's about 20% of those kids actually are productive, great citizens. They go on to be successful, highly successful, and they come from single mother homes. It's just the fact that those mothers made the sacrifices that we were talking about, and they were actually good people and put their kids first. And they didn't always have male mentors that they brought in. Some did, most did, but you know what I mean? It's just good people do the right thing. So what do you think about that, Khary?
Well, yeah, and it goes back to the comment you were just making about the technology and kids these days, is that I don't know if it's the technology as much as how much time and effort you put into the kid, because the technology can only be there if you're not engaging the child. And so, and at the same time, you could be engaging in the technology with them and contextualizing, also monitoring. And so a lot of that goes right back to what Brown was just saying. And it's about the quality of the parent ultimately, you know what I mean? And I feel like our society is geared towards teaching boys discipline more. So single fathers might be a little bit more successful because they have a grounding in a little bit more discipline. And that's might be where it skews you know what I mean? Like men are just taught the skills that they need to be fathers a little bit more than society will readily teach a woman how to be a woman. I think it's a lot harder to figure out how to be a woman in society than how it is to be a man in society. And so that's why women, if left to their devices, won't be as successful as men. Society is designed to teach little boys how to be what society says a good man is, whereas they don't give women the same. Women don't have the same role models that men do.
I think it's a good point, but I feel like that only majorly shows up in when we talk about marriage specifically, because everyone always talks about like what a good husband is, but nobody really talks about what a good wife is. So I feel like that's
similarly, and I think that in a lot of places in a woman's life, you'll say, well, where's your role model for that? And you're going to end up either pointing out to someone very close to you, but rarely will you be pointing to someone in the public eye. Whereas there are public images of what every aspect of a little boy's life should be to become a man.
But see, that's the problem though, kind of, because
because if that image is bad, it could be a problem.
And there we are.
Absolutely.
And exactly. And because the things, we go back to what we started off with, the things that are glamorized are not the most positive aspects of manhood. Because a lot of these boys, to like, even in the video that he played earlier, it's saying like, these young boys, they need the mentoring, they need the guidance, they need that love, and he wants to show them that because it's not shown enough, because we're only glamorizing the negative aspects, especially when it comes to Black men. We're only glamorizing the negative things that can be monetized and essentially, again, glamorizing.
Now we're touching on a huge cultural issue, which is who controls those images of Black people, who's making those, and it's mostly non-Black people, and that's a problem because we're finding those images to be harmful to the multitude of broken families that have young Black boys and Black girls looking outwards for those images. And that's why it's important for us to talk about this, because if we don't rectify that, they're just going to keep feeding them reckless images, and it's going to heighten the chance. It's not going to guarantee they might come out the other side of this fine.
Right.
But what we want to do is build a society that heightens people's chances of success if we can.
And that's
why we speak on the more probable than the possible. Yeah, we rather promote the probable than the possible.
Right.
What's
but that's why I said about getting in those.
Well, we can make things possible. That's the beauty of humans. We can make things possible. There was a time when no one would consider the American Black.
Yeah, but what you're saying is actually more probable. That's what I'm saying. It's better to promote what you're promoting, or basically what you just said. It's better, I think, to promote that versus the adverse to it, because it would just lead us back into where we are now. So that's why I was saying I agree with basically what you were saying. It's because I think what you were saying is probable more so than possible, honestly.
But that's what I was saying earlier about us being in those rooms, because again, these algorithms, no matter how much technology is pushing whatever it's pushing, at the end of the day, there's always a person behind the technology. There's always
the thing about these algorithms is that they're pushed by engagement. So the only way that we could genuinely influence that is if en masse people decided that they didn't want to see those images. The problem is that there's no real demographics. And so you might see something get a million clicks when half of those were bots. And then, 3/4 of the remainder were children. And it's just like, these aren't substantive metrics, but yet they're gaining clout and they're gaining ad rev and they're gaining off of this. And then they're parlaying that into like, well, look at all this money I have. You know what I mean? Now I can do things and put myself in other spaces that I don't belong in, because, that's how DJ Academics becomes popular. It's because it's just one of those things. This dude it is what it is.
It's not. I'm thinking like what's her name? Whoa, Vicky or Wow. I'm thinking about
exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Like, that's how people like that make it in.
The parody of Blackness, because again, we are the setters of every tone. Like take away Black culture. Take Black culture out of
we got to talk about it. We have to have a whole nother side conversation about how American culture is Black culture. Black culture is the only original thing about American culture. Everything else about it is derivative from European culture. So
what I just say is,
you know what I mean?
What I just say is basically it's a hip hop world.
It is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. It's the irony of it is, but see, then and I hate to segue back to this because we're having this conversation though. When we talk about Black men stepping outside of our community, you're leaning into people who are mimicking themselves after Black women and just negating the part of like the actual,
Well,
hold on. Now, if we go into there, and then our Black women are mimicking themselves after drag queens.
Well,
yeah, they got this. They got RuPaul look. Hold on. They out here with
on fashion.
They out here with this RuPaul look, with these wild color wigs, with these big eyelashes, with this beat face. That's the straight drag queen look, straight up. They adopted that and they're trying to push it. That's why these transformers can now walk around and get mistaken for women, because our women actually looking like them.
Well, no, and can I just throw something in here real quick? Because one thing about the African American community is that it's very inclusive.
Put a grenade in there.
We invite a lot of cultures into the African American community, and so we can't. I don't think Black women should be so upset with Black men who end up with women of other cultures who we've invited into our culture. Like, it's like the difference between, Cardi B, who has been invited somewhat into the culture, You know what I mean? She's been somewhat invited into the culture. Like black people
Honestly,
accept her
I think
a lot.
she's black, really. So I think
You know
all
what I
that.
mean?
No,
And
Afro
so
Latina is black to me.
and
So
so we
honestly,
don't get
I
mad
mean,
at Takeoff for or is it Offset? My bad.
it
Whichever
was
one of
Offset.
them is her husband. We don't get mad at him for wiping up a Hispanic woman. We don't say it's not for the culture. We don't. You know what I mean? We
But it
gotta
made
Kyrie, I think it's
some
all a
people.
talking point, and it just triggers women. It triggers our women. These are the same men that they really say that aren't good enough for them. I don't want to like
That's
this.
true.
It's like this. It just triggers me when they say that. Like I don't even care. It's such a small percentage anyway. Go get the other men that
This
are
is
here
not
left.
obviously
You know what I'm saying?
President
They only
Biden is
get mad when it's a
excluded.
millionaire that's doing that shit. They really say they don't care. Like I think you love who you love and who loves you. Go where you're wanted, not what they call it. Go where you
I
want
wouldn't
it,
say
not
that about
tolerated.
you, LeGree. I don't know if that's your opinion.
Listen, it's
What?
not because I'm speaking from a different and I one thing I do know about me is that I do not represent, unfortunately, the masses when it comes to Black women. I know that my perspective has always been a slightly different. A lot of times, I mean, some people could say like it's the pick me energy, which I think is just the basicness of some people because it's bullshit. I've been spewing the same shit since I was a teenager. Like nothing has changed in my narrative. I remember in college, one time, my professor posed the question: if a man buys you all the gifts that you want, but he never spends any time with you, then is that a good relationship? Is that a good man? And all these girls were like, oh my God, yes, absolutely. Like, oh, is he gonna give me a bag? Blah blah. I didn't say nothing. My professor said, LeGree, like I see you, but like say something.
You know
And I said,
why they said that? You know why they said that? This is why they said that.
Whole cake. Hoes got to eat too, right? Right, you're right. That's right. Hoes got to eat.
right, but I when Dr. Azapong asked me, he said, LeGree, like, what do you think? And I said very flat out, I said, listen, I said respectfully, I said if I'm with a man, it's for I said he embodies qualities that no one else has. And that's the thing that I'm attracted to, and that's the thing that I want to be with. I said if I can't buy it myself, I'll ask my daddy. And if my daddy won't buy it for me, then it wasn't meant for me to have. And some people took that as if like, oh, she's just a little rich kid. Da-da-da. No, it's basically saying like the only man that signed up to take care of me is my father. The only man that has any obligation to me is my daddy. Like he chose me. He has me. Like it's not a man's job to do that for me. So in my mind, I'm like I've been this way my whole life. Not necessarily the most popular of opinions, but there's more to men in general than just that it's the monetary aspect. Like no,
It's the right opinion, I would say, and it's opinion that would actually help our community come back together and get some more structure. Our kids would do better. I think it would just overall help us. You know what I mean? And that
it can be great, but also on the flip side of that, then know that I am more than what's between my legs. Like I have a lot more to offer than this hot meal and this great.
I think majority of men understand that, and that's why I think most men actually love way harder than women do. But even though they may fuck up and do they mistakes, and mostly their mistakes would be not emotionally being there or caring as much as you would like them to, versus also infidelity. But a lot of the main reasons for divorce is financial, and then there will come irreconcilable differences. Basically, she just changes or feel like I could do better, or I'm not myself as what I used to be, and then comes the infidelity in third. So, but yeah, speaking on that, but I think so far this is a great show. This is our first live show. I want to thank everybody that tapped in live with us today. We're gonna begin to close it out. I do appreciate everybody that tapped in. I appreciate the few comments that we got. Community is growing, especially since we don't really go live often. So I'm gonna start promoting and getting more people on the show. Khary, appreciate you for rolling up. LeGree, as always, thank you for rolling up. I want to ask you guys any final thoughts on today's conversation. Khary, if you can, go ahead.
Oh no, just thank you for having me. It was a great discussion. We got to cover a lot of different things. I think that we touched on some things that aren't very popular topics for people to talk about in a way that, you know, they might not have heard before. You know what I mean? Give a little bit of a different perspective. So I had a good time doing that. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. LeGree, the same.
Same. Thank you so much for having me. But I think the biggest thing, if I have like one thing that I want everybody to walk away with, is that accountability is real. Like accountability is how we're going to further every single aspect of growth in our lives, in our community, our conversation. Like if we really want to see each other win, then we need to hold ourselves accountable and see how we're actually contributing to the neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank both of you guys. I appreciate your time. Thank everybody that actually tuned in. Everybody on the rewatch, make sure you hit the like, subscribe. That's actually going to help the channel out a lot. We're not asking for no donations. That's how you really help this channel. Just like, subscribe, share the content, and notify as many people as you can. We'll be back next week with another show for you guys live, and then maybe another show in between that we're going to actually just drop for you guys to see some reviews. We're probably going to review this battle and some other things that's been going on in the community.
Yeah, talk. Definitely, you don't mind, I'm gonna plug my podcast. You can catch
go ahead.
Podcast. You can find us on anchor.fm. You know, if you enjoy the show, our whole catalog's on Spotify, or if you want to support, you can find us on patreon.com as well. But yeah, you know, we talk about mostly, you know, general American culture shit. You know what I mean? Try to keep it easy on the gender wars. I leave that to my man Brown. He's got a better platform for that. But yeah, we just talk about, you know, anything that's, you know, headline news, entertainment. We do a lot of gamer talk, video, movie stuff, TV shows. You know, just try to keep it fun.
Yeah, I'm down to come up, man. Talk some gamer talk, talk some entertainment talk. Yeah. LeGree,
well, we might need a bar spitter to come here and talk to us about Kendrick and Drake, because boy, oh boy.
I'm down. I got some analyze that shit, and I got some comments. Yeah, I definitely do.
Nice.
LeGree, tell them about your project and where they can find you.
Yes, LeGree Shine at LeGree Shine. That's LeGreeShine. Pretty much on all platforms, but my most recent project, Keys for the Streets, is my newest single, my debut. Please go in, check it out. I also just have the video up. I performed it live at Unplugged just this past Sunday. It actually went really, really well, and definitely more live performances coming soon. So LeGree Shine, local astronauts. Shout out to Polly Rob. What's up? In the squad. So thank you for having me.
What up, local astronauts? Shout out to Polly. Shout out to Bad Drew. Hey, LeGree. So the video is actually on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, the video of me. Polly actually just like put everything up. So there's more videos that's coming from that show.
Perfect.
We have a lot of POVs, but yeah, definitely go in.
I'm gonna share it. I'm gonna actually do a show, and then I'm gonna actually do a clip and then lead into that, show your video, and put your socials up and stuff like that. So
thank you so much.
Yes. All right, thanks everybody for tapping in. We appreciate you guys. We out of here. Peace.
Good night. Peace.